Footy fans, welcome back to the Pommy and Oz channel, and today we're covering the triple threat game. The AFL went full WWE on us. Brisbane, Gold Coast, Brisbane, in what was a calamity really for a partial observer. We'll break down each match individually, give you a brief surmise of what went on. Then we'll go through what worked, what didn't, and we'll have a look at the 5 takeaways in the game. For me personally, we've tried to spread that out as well between 3 teams. This show's concept is fantastic for 2 teams. For 3, it's a little bit harder, so let's not waste any more time. We've got a lot to get through. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and let's run that intro. So game 1 saw A-Team Brisbane play Collingwood A-Team, and Brisbane coming out 13 point winners, 39 playing 26. And Brisbane really came out of the block strong. They looked incredibly well rehearsed. There was no ring rust really from them. They really moved the ball from back to front really well. The intensity was really good, and the transitional play was a real standout. Their ability to zip it from half-back to be in the forward line almost instantaneously was a real joy to watch. The forward line is the big question mark, isn't it? Danaher without him, and I thought Sam Day did show some signs that he could do this to an extent, but what really did catch the eye was how well their forward line worked. Ty Gallop kicking 2 goals this quarter, or this half per se, was really strong, but also just the high work rate. With Eric Hipwood injured, one thing that we will talk about with Hipwood is his work rate is very strong, his second and third efforts. And Ty Gallop showed that. He really led into the channels that the forward line presented him and really went with it. Cam Rayner was very dominant this quarter as well, really did look every step of the football you'd expect. He was just about everywhere, controlled that half forward line, was a real good link and a real good standout. The Pies, as usual though, for me, always use the first quarter of a game to kind of almost weigh up their opponent. It's like watching a heavyweight champion. Hits that jab, stays behind it, tries to see what the patterns are. And they really did start to come into it towards the end of this performance. I'm not reading into it because when I look at this game, everyone's like, oh, Collingwood are cooked. I felt like, I'm going to be totally honest, this 3-way game, I felt like if I was a Collingwood fan and I was a Collingwood player, I'd hate it because there was an hour between games. Once they started to get a rhythm in both games, the game was cut short, where I think Gold Coast and Brisbane got the best end of this deal. For me, this just really does open up the fixture in that Indigenous game needed to be the week before all this happened, and then Collingwood flew to Perth and played Fremantle. But Nick Daicos was really strong in this quarter. There was some signs as well from other players from Collingwood. They linked in well. Schultz really did link up well in his games that he played. But also I thought that the forward line at Collingwood didn't look quite there. They were going through the motions, but their ability to overlap and when they did get the ball and control the game on their terms really did look standout-ish. A lot of quiet performers in this game, but for Collingwood, but I did look at it and I thought, you know what? It was a tough game for them and they did stand out, but Brisbane were the worthy winners. And then we go on to game 2, Gold Coast with a mixed Brisbane side, let's say. And this game was really finals football, really. It was incredibly intense. And one thing that stood out was we saw how good Brisbane's transition game was in game 1. In game 2, Gold Coast have suddenly gone into a 2016 Richmond type vibe of get that ball forward at all costs. And it looked fluid at times. Matt Rowell dominated the midfield, had a lot of touches, but also hit the scoreboard and looked to really fit the mantra of get ball going quickly as possible. Looking at John Noble, he was just looking to hit that corridor kick ASAP, and it was real strong. Ryan Lester continued his good form from the first game. He was really strong. But I really enjoyed the young players at Gold Coast. Bailey Humphrey was really good here, going across the half forward and playing on the ball. Ned Walter's leading patterns looks a right beast. And probably the one bad thing was Leo Lombardo got injured in this game. And Levi Ashcroft was welcomed to football by Ben Long. But when you look at this, it was a real showcase of what Brisbane and Gold Coast are trying to do. Move the ball really quickly, get it going fast, get it going manic with lots of numbers. And both sides here, I thought, in this game really did showcase it. And then we finished with like the B team of Collingwood versus the A.5 team of Gold Coast, I would say. And it was a long time for Collingwood, but Gold Coast really did hit the straps early. Ethan Reid, early pick, he really did lead well. I thought he showed that ruck combination pretty well. Ned Moyle looked like a real good backup. Witts had something wrong with his finger, evidently. Collingwood looked really out of sorts, though. It looked like they'd just woken up. But I will say this. I thought the amount of ball Gold Coast had, Collingwood did pretty well to keep the score this way. There wasn't too many cracking standouts, but I thought it was a real work in progress for Collingwood. They did have quite a lot of VFL players out there, but I thought from a defensive point of view, they were under the cosh, and I thought they held up well. Gold Coast did what they had to do. Like I say, Ned Moyle did very well. I really did enjoy Ethan Reid's game, though. The young players at Gold Coast really show that this attacking, fast brand that Dimmer's trying to play, which is akin to Richmond 2017, will I think, cost them goals in the short term. And I think they will lose some games by being a bit more direct and giving up the ball early. But I do think they'll win a lot of games in the long run with this. This was a very good style and a very good performance. So let's look at the 5 takeaways. That's always interesting. And one of them is Cam Rayner is set to explode. I was really impressed with him. He's come with a big hype. And I thought last year, after foraying at halfback, after playing all over, he really did make that midfield forward role his own. He really did showcase some tenacity in this game. His link-up play was really solid. He took his goal well, but I thought what he provided, how he peeled players off position, which allowed Sam Day to lead into the pockets, Ty Gallop, he was a real menace. And this is going to be a real key, I think, for Brisbane. We know Danaher there. It's probably easier on paper to defend. They need these half-forwards to really step up, lead out of 50, clear house, give their keys something to work with, and their smalls. And Cam Rayner was a constant menace, whether it was around stoppage, whether it was getting up to link up with his midfield. Thought he did some really nice things. And this game here, I really looked at and was like, okay, this is the pick one. This is the pick one guy. I think he is going to be an absolute weapon this year. And if he can stay fit and healthy, look out, because I think he's about to burst out. Point 2, Gold Coast transition game. They've always been a decent transition side, but it was a clear shift that win ball, get the ball going direct. Lockie Weller played a more physical role up on the wing, which gave them a real good outlet. And John Noble, I thought, did some incredible overlap things. You've got to imagine that Dan Rioli's got to come to this side as well, which I think makes 2 of these guys looking to overlap the first line of half-forward defence and then get the ball moving forward and spreading ASAP is going to be deadly. Their fast ball movement was really good, which then helped their efficiency inside 50 because players were outnumbered. They had them one-on-ones naturally. They could play to the strengths of Ned Walter, who is incredibly mobile, Ethan Reid, Ben King as well. These types of players love leading into space, love the ball coming into them. So this real quick movement is only playing to the arsenal that they already have. I really enjoyed this. The injury to Leo Lombardo is a shame because he suits this. But you add Tuck Miller and Leo Lombardo when he gets right after his shoulder surgery. This direct style is going to be chaotic because it is overlap, run and stun, get the ball moving forward. And I really enjoyed that. Gold Coast looked tasty. Nick Daicos, for me, just said to me, Brownlow lock, because Collingwood were under the cosh when he played. He was everywhere. He found the ball really well, had about 18 touches and a half and a goal. His link-up play, for me, is better than anyone. Now, I know people talk about, he doesn't win a hard ball and stuff. No one gives a shit in AFL, let's be honest. At the end of the day, it'd be like me saying, Leo Messi doesn't tackle. Who cares? His ability to link up play, his ability to really find space when he needs to, free himself up, be that outlet, but also run hard both ways, was a real delight to watch. It is a pleasure watching Nick Daicos play football. And although Collingwood were not at their A game, Nick Daicos stood out and he was just literally finding the ball, keeping that game going, especially when they were under the cosh in the opening moments against Brisbane. I thought he was sensational. So look out. Nick Daicos, Brownlow elect, in my opinion. Solid player. Brisbane's forward line minus Danaher. Now, Structurally, it looked impressive. They really did use their half forwards to try and clear out 50, which gave Gallop, which gave Sam Day real focus. They played one player as they always do, which used to be Danaher playing deep, roaming up the ground, then Hipwood goes to the goal square. Sam Day played that role, tried to keep Darcy Moore as deep as he could. The half forwards cleared out, which created all these pockets of space about 45 out, which we know Danaher feasts on. Enter Ty Gallop, who led incredibly well. What I really like about Ty Gallop, and we talked about it in his draft, he engages really early and then looks for the space, which causes havoc with defenders, particularly when there's so much lateral movement in the eye line of the defenders. And I really like this methodology. I was watching this and going, okay, Danaher's a big loss. But the way Brisbane have formulated this, Eric Hipwood comes back, who I don't think is a great forward, but I think Eric Hipwood cops a lot of hate. I think he's AFL standard. It looked like they can negate having a dominant forward and really piece this together. The way the midfield linked up with the forward line, that conduit around 65, that is so important, looks sensational for me. And there's some real big name players to come back who are structurally important to Brisbane, that forward line. So that looked really good. And 5, Gold Coast froth continues. Jed Walter, absolutely brilliant. The fact that they've got Jed Walter, Ben King, and throwing Ethan Reid as a ruck forward option, really exciting. The way Matt Rowell played as well was incredibly mature this game. His physicality was a thing to behold, but the way that he looked to do the give and go, which is something that I think Matt Rowell is pigeonholed as this tough, find a ball in tight spaces. His ability to get forward, get himself free, and then Jed Walter leading like a badger straight into the pocket, straight into the arcs, was a real good sense for me. I really like this quick ball movement because the players they've got in that forward line, they are a pain in the arse, Gold Coast. Like, if that comes in quickly with the pace of Benny King, with the pace of Jed Walter, you are in strife if you can't structure up and condense their moving patterns. So I really enjoyed that direct movement. So let's wrap it up then. Ridiculous game. Let's never see it again. But Cam Rayner looks really solid, looks really strong. He's going to have a real strong 2025. Gold Coast transition menace. Wouldn't be shocked to see them be a top 3 turnover side this year. That looked painful to defend against. Nicky D, kicking ass, taking names. What a joy to watch. Brisbane's forward line, well worked, well structured. Game 1 of what we've seen minus Danaher gets a tick. And Rowell Walter combined with that pace. Gold Coast are someone to watch out for. What do you think? Who was the standout for you in the night? Are Gold Coast finals contenders? Can they break that duck? Brisbane going back to back. And Pies fans, should we be worried? Keep telling you it's pre-season. Don't look into it. This was a cobweb blowout. They will be dangerous, particularly in round 1. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more. I'm going to go grab a cup of tea. Pommy out.
Spent all my life holding all of it closely. I played